It's all gone horribly quiet.
We're all entertained. Some words of wisdom. I'm doing this around here.
No. Put it where you want it to.
Oh, on the beach of my bed.
If you want to. Oh yes, sort of not on hydraulics, you just push it down.
You stop to turn.
Alright.
They look the same. Good evening. Welcome to Henry's Blues House. I'm sure you won't be here before. All your faces look remarkably, pleasantly familiar. You're late, young man. Take a seat. You're allowed. This is our third week proper back after the Jazz Festival. It's been going quite nicely. We really enjoy it. It's great to have Melvin's band here tonight. First of all, I have to tell you that Melvin drew the short straw tonight. They had a fight about who would not want to do this, and they all pulled back and left the band leader. What's
It's a dirty job, but someone's got to do it.
Absolutely. So let's start at the beginning. When did you first hear the blues? Who was it? And where? How?
It would be my father's record collection, and the thing that made me want to play the most was Danny Kerwin, actually, Fleetwood Mac, and then play on that album. So Danny Kerwin, Peter Green, Stan Webb, Chicken Shack, who I think is a genius, actually, Stan. You know, he probably does himself as well, but I really think he's a genius. Tony Borge, Budgie, yeah, who I know played at Henry's because my parents came to see them play at Henry's, Budgie. And Tony Iommi as well. And they're all blokes who play tunes, and they play Gibson guitars as well, which I like.
So, how old were you when you first encountered the blues? Age, do they?
Well, it was there all my life, really. I grew up with, like I say, it was my father's record collection. He used to be a songwriter for, you know, Joe Meek?
Yeah, of course.
Well, again, he was very young, and he used to send off ideas. He was Duke. There were about 5 or 6 Dukes, and that was a pseudonym. So that's how he started off, and that's his interest in music. But I think I was as much a project as anything, because he never got it together with the playing, and he always wanted to. And so I was sort of set on the path at a young age.
Your mother was something creative as well, wasn't she?
Yes, that's right, yes, yeah.
What did she do?
Well, she's an artist and a poet, and well, she's a legal executive now, so she's not doing that.
It's a good background. So, what made you get your first guitar, or how did you get it first? How old were you?
I'd have been about 8 years old, and...
Why did you leave it so long?
It was bought for me by my father at musical exchanges, a K. Les Paul copy, and Tony Iommi was in the shop at the time, he said. I mean, there's a lot of synchronicity. I always find this in my life. There's a lot of synchronicity. And the Never Say Die video, Black Sabbath video, had just come out, you know, early days of video. And Tony Iommi, he was wearing a pair of boots, and I had my mother's suede boots on, walking around the house pretending to be. And my father told him this when he saw him in exchanges. He was trying out a pair of Devastator pickups. They were a new range of pickups, guitar pickups. He was trying out Devastator pickups. And he said, I've just left my lad, you know, walking around the house in your boot. Oh, they've released it here, you know, come out in America already. And anyway, can you recommend a good guitar for a starter? And he picked a Les Paul copy, K. Les Paul copy. The strings were really off the fretboard. And he came to paying for the guitar. He had the money, but he didn't have the tax, the added tax, VAT. And there we go. Tony Iommi paid it. Well, which was really kind of him. I've never forgotten that.
That's great.
Yeah.
Did he sign it for you?
No.
So we'll go on it. When did you actually first get, what age? First get to play in public and who with and What were you playing?
Playing live.
In public, yeah.
In public.
Better than playing dead.
My first gig was King's Heath Community Centre, and I'd have been 12 then. But I'd had some guitar lessons previous to that from, do you know Stuart Ford? Northern, you would know him, the E-Numbers. Yeah. The E-Numbers and Trevor Burton Band. In fact, that was the lineup with Tony Bayliss, Stuart and Trevor. And Stuart used to give me some guitar lessons, and he just unlocked the scales. I still only know 3 scales, but they were the ones you needed to know. And it's thanks to Stuart, and then he took me to watch Trevor Burton at the Hen and Chickens in Albury, which is also where I saw Steve Marriott and Stan Webb. I met him, now you see, that was one of them. And he said, yeah, well, stay away from the fanny stuff, son. And so I always have, apart from my drink problem. So yeah.
What was the band called? You've forgotten.
I'd like to forget. Can I forget?
Yeah, forget.
Thank you.
Just tell us a couple of songs from the repertoire.
Oh, they'd have been like, you know, covers of Chicken Shack and Budgie and that sort of thing, you know, the stuff I learned from.
Well, at least you're doing the right stuff from the beginning, at least.
Yeah.
So where do you go from there? Did you join a band or form a band?
Oh, yeah, well they were all sorts of my things, which is why they were doing that, but my first professional band was Mac and the Boys, and that was Brian Bannister's. But actually, I've skipped a whole thing here. Ray Phillips from Budgie, I ended up working with him for a bit, because I kept saying to the drummer, can you do a role like Ray Phillips? And he got sick of me saying this, and he handed me Ray Phillips' telephone number. I don't know where he got it from. He said, why don't you phone him yourself? I did.
You missed out the F words.
Yeah, that's right. And the first recording session I had, it's all coming back to me now, was above Musical Exchanges with Stuart Ford, the guitar player, playing bass, and a drummer called Martin Woodall. I can't remember what that was. What was that called, that studio?
Is that still on Broad Street?
No, this was when it was on the...
Snow Hill.
That's it, in Snow Hill. It was above there. I don't know what it was called, that studio.
I used to go there a lot. I can't remember the studio, to the truth. Little Gaz was there, was he?
No, to be honest, I was so young, I was a bit unaware. It's, you know, it's sort of happening around you almost. But through that demo tape, it got me working with Ray Phillips from Budgie. And from there, I ended up, I'd just do anything, I'd give anything a go, you know. But I was a bit young to go on tour and all that scene. So I was still 14 or 15 then. But Mac and the Boys was my first professional band, and the first time I had a record deal and did radio and television or anything like that. Jim.
Tell us more about that, television. What record deal? What was that with?
Well, a long defunct independent called Run River, because it was a roots music-based label, Run River, and it was a roots music band. It was it was like Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, but with Cajun influences thrown in. So it had a squeeze box banjo.
That's interesting.
Which is how my wife and I met, actually. Way back then, and she was the neighbour of Steve Paul, the squeeze box player.
So what does he do now?
Well, he's gone now, Jim.
There aren't many Cajun and Zydeco bands around right now, are there?
He used to play with Nigel Denver at the station King's Heath. Steve did. A Scotsman who did Irish numbers. It was very entertaining.
It's off topic. Off topic, I know, but obviously the Zydeco and Cajun aspect of our music has not been properly explored in this country.
Absolutely, yeah. It's probably not our heritage.
Oh, you mean like Chicago Blues is?
No, it's sort of, but everyone's, it's easier perhaps to take to. It's just a thing.
So come on, you're so remarkably young.
I was all washed up at 22.
Tell us about Costa Rica. That intrigued me.
Oh, That would be with Vincent Flatt's Final Drive then.
Which is your band?
No, this is... No, so Mac and the Boys, and then I was asked to do... I actually played with Honeybus briefly, as well. I had to, I can't let Maggie go, she flies like a bird in the sky, nimble bred. That was brief, it wasn't really my thing, but I had to wear a Sergeant Pepper costume. I was George. It's not easy being green. And so from that, I was asked to do something. There was an American, visiting American vocalist who came here to make it in England, sort of a Jimi Hendrix scenario. And they needed a musical supervisor, and I was asked to do it.
And you were how old?
I'd be...
11?
No, I'd be about 18 by now.
Okay.
17.
Who was the American?
Robert Trimieux III. No, or me. Robert Trimieux III. And he was doing a sort of Rumours, Fleetwood Mac kind of thing. And it was putting a band around him. And that's really how Vincent Flatt's got formed. And I met a drummer, entrepreneur called Spence Barry Scrinage, who was a real hustler.
He is?
Yeah. And he sort of, he convinced me it would be a good idea if he was part of the band, and then he found a bass player, John Hill, who was in Chances Are, Fragile Child. Okay. And so that became the backing band for Robert Trimieux III. And I don't know what happened there, he flipped his wig and went back to America, and you need a singer. And so I said, well, how about Steve Burton? Little did I thought it was cold tea, not whiskey in the bottle, I thought it was a stage prop. And that's how Vincent Flatt's came together, and that's the band that went to Costa Rica and Florida. In fact, with Tony by that point, because Spence had left, Tony, the drummer who's playing tonight. Tony Bayliss, who was with, I used to watch with the Trevor Burton band.
I still don't quite get how you got to Costa Rica. That sounds terrific.
We had the chap who used to promote Mr. Blobby, Noel Edmonds. I know, he financed that. His offices were in Bewdley. And Neville, and he financed that one. No, I don't quite know what all that was about either.
Did you enjoy it?
And
That age, come on.
it was sort of traumatic, really. But I got to play Mike Bloomfield's guitar, Les Paul. I had it as a standby because the guy who worked at the Soda Blues bar, remember that where we had a residency in Costa Rica, he used to be the roadie for Mike Bloomfield and had ended up with this guitar. And I bought a CD only last week from Polar Bear in King's Heath, and there he is, Mike Bloomfield, playing that exact guitar. I'll recognise that. And I suddenly felt rather humble. I still preferred mine now.
So from Costa Rica you went to Florida?
Yes, that's right.
And where were you in Florida?
All over Key West and all over Florida, Gainesville. I can't remember the St. Pete's Beach. We did a gig there.
Were you playing the blues?
Yeah. But blues boogie. It was a blues boogie band.
Florida's often neglected as a blues territory, with some good bands coming out of it.
Well, 38 Special were their first gig we did, and we played with a couple of ex-members from Kansas, Steinhardt Moon, who were doing all English material. They were doing Moody Blues, and we were going over doing American material.
That's how it was.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
In fact, it was the British blues boom which really revived interest in America in their traditional...
Absolutely. Well, Savoy Brown were playing in the same place the night before. I was really honoured to be playing where Savoy Brown were. It's things like that, or going to the 100 Club, and we were playing... I looked at the photos beforehand, and I was playing opposite a photo of Peter Green and Duster Bennett, and I just focused on that the whole time, because that's where I live, really.
Duster Bennett. Did you recognise Dusty Bennett?
I did, absolutely, yeah.
Dusty Bennett's the singing, harmonica playing guitar player with a Henry's Blues House t-shirt who pops up occasionally on Carl's film.
The one-man band, one-man blues band, Don Partridge.
We did not just diversify a little.
Yeah.
Dustin, he was a really good pal at Henry's. He was one of our top drawers, and he's a really good pal. He first came to us when he was 16. His mother's Morris Minor traveller, she brought him to the gig. Took him home. And we did some shows with Memphis Slim on tour. We did Birmingham, Town Hall, and the next night we did somewhere in Derby. And Dustin crashed his car on the way home and died.
Yes.
Very young. But he would have been a pillar of our blues society by now.
Yeah.
He's a good man. So, this is all. You said that was your first record deal was with this American. What was your next record deal? I know you were quite young then as well.
That was Vincent Flatts again. Oh, there was another thing in between. Anyway, that was Vincent Flatts.
It's fascinating.
But Trevor Crump, a bass player, again who used to play in the E numbers, Trevor Crump and Trevor Burton Band. He had that was just in Holland or something. He had a rock project together, and it was Jim Simpson on drums, not you, but the other Jim Simpson from Magnum.
He called himself Jimmy Simpson to differentiate between us.
Oh, there we go. So that was another one, and then there's been releases with Ray Phillips, the Budgie drummer, as well. So just diversify, but being adaptable.
It sounds a fascinating and early education for you. When did you form your own band? Or I missed something out in between?
Probably, well, after the Vincent Flatts shenanigans, you know, it was not really where I wanted to. I'm not like, I don't want to live like a Mexican outlaw. And so I got a band together with my wife's father, the singer Reg Jones, who has a very long history on the Birmingham music scene with his brother Chris.
Did he play Henry's?
Did he play Henry's? He probably did. He probably did.
I know he said he went to Henry's.
Well, oh yeah, he would play at Henry's and Mothers and Ma Regan, and he was always on about Mark. This is all before my time, I'm afraid, Jim. I don't know exactly, but he had John Bonham in his band, pre-Zeppelin, and Dave Pegg. They were all in AWOL, A Way of Life. And,
Way of Life, yes, good band.
Yes, and also Ace Kefford, their cousin, you know, so that it's sort of a family thing.
So, your first band?
My first band?
Your first band?
My first form band.
Yeah.
Well, it's happened out of the Notorious Brothers. Reg passed away, and well, we're still here, and so it was finding a way to. And I'm not Reg, you know, it's very different. And so it came from that, really, Jim. It was working against the grain, but I had to find a way to make it work, and did. But it was a real changeover period.
Was that before or after you encountered Canned Heat? Canned Heat.
That would be after.
Would you believe he played Bob the Bear High for the band when you were with him?
No, it's only Fito, really.
Okay.
Henry Vestine was
Fito
still...
de la Para.
That's right, yeah, Fito de la Para.
Bob Hyde used to write for my magazine. He was also a bear. He was Bob the Bear.
Yes.
Right, yeah. Well, I'm impressed. So when did you play with them in California? How did that happen?
I did a recording session. It wasn't some. They played at the Robin. Vincent Flatts supported them at the Robin, and that's how I met them. And I was in California, and I had the number, and there you go, and it happened. And I met John Mayall as well at the same time. But that was it. It wasn't. I wasn't in Canned Heat. I didn't play in the band.
I think it's a pity they're so forgotten today. They're such a great band, weren't they? So important.
I love all that period. That's what this band is about. It works circa 69, 70. 1769, 17. And because I feel it's when rock and roll peaked out in a way, it was far-reaching and all styles are possible, they amalgamated, and rock and roll didn't get into cloaks and fluffy boots yet, and sort of lose its way perhaps. And so it's roots-based music and it's all blues to me. I find, it's a limited format, but it's very beautiful and there's a lot you can do with it if you allow yourself to.
So, can we talk about American musicians who influence you? American guitar players in particular. Is it got players like Dawkins maybe and Sutherland, Big Guy and Jimmy Hendrix?
Again, you see, I'm a bit young, so I've come to it through the English players, and then you learn, you hear them.
Yeah.
But for me, it's always the English interpretation because that's what made me want to play, and they've all come from that. But it's my age.
Don't you feel like going back, following the trail back?
Well, I have.
I
have, but you can go back to Eddie Lang and all that stuff and Ronnie Johnson, but and it's great, But the thing that sits with me always, Mac Shack and Mail or something like that. I'm just there, unfortunately. Unfortunately, it served me well.
Well, it means you present a certain character of your own.
Yes.
Your repertoire, is it almost all your own material?
Pretty well, yeah. It depends where we play. Again, you have to be adaptable, don't you, Jim?
I mean, if you do songs by any other bluesman, what sort of repertoire is that?
Well, I'd probably go for Chicken Shack, Fleetwood Mac, what I've already said, I guess, Jim. I know where I'm at, I know what I like and I know where I'm at, but it's the things that moved me when I was a kid. I mean, also the Everly Brothers Roots album, that made me want to play, and a lot of the Beach Boys stuff at that time. It's very deep music, and it's interesting. It moved me. It made me want to become a musician.
Do you ever encounter any of the music of Mickey Baker?
Yeah, Mickey Guitar Baker, absolutely. He did an album with Champion Jack.
That's right, yeah. I hear that in things you say and do.
Oh, right, thank you. Gosh.
Mickey was, to me, maybe one of the most important blues guitar players ever.
Yes, absolutely.
Great. Well, tell us about you now. I mean, how many albums have you released under your own name? Half a dozen?
Well, as the Melvin Hancox bands, there's 3. I've done some solo things before.
With solo guitar?
Well, no, I play all the instruments, so... but I'm not a... I'm a guitar player, really. But, and the Notorious Brothers made albums with Reg and after Reg, But I really had to carve my own path. It's the only way to continue. You get to a point. I said to Steve Gibbons as a kid, what should I...
Just about it, you mentioned.
With a Henry's Tough On, of course.
Sorry, I interrupted.
I don't remember, I was waffling again, Jimmy.
What about your recordings?
I'm like a bunny in the headlights, to tell you the truth. I just keep talking and hope it's all right. I don't know if it makes sense.
I can't help but see they've all got the CDs over there.
Absolutely, Lysergic Visions and Matt's Cat's Big Trip, which tells you where that's at.
So which is your newest? Which is your most recent?
Matt's Cat.
And how old is that?
That was just before, the last time we played here, just before lockdown.
March, yeah.
I was mixing it then, yeah. But I have other material ready as soon as we get the chance.
You seem to have recorded prolifically, considering you're only 26 years old now.
Thank you, Jim. Yeah, I've always been quite a creative bloke, But, it's my job, I'm a musician. And that's the fun, it's always where you're going next. You never learn, you never fully learn everything, it's always the next place. That's what's nice about it.
As someone who's worked in music most of his life with many musicians, it's always refreshing to find someone who has that attitude, professional enough to turn up early, set up, get all the cases out of the way. Because that's the easy part. So learning to play before, that's the difficult part. But if people can play before, so often let you down in the small things.
Yeah, absolutely. I know exactly what you mean. I just like to do things properly.
Yeah.
I don't enjoy doing them any other way. I enjoy doing it, but I like to do it properly or I don't get off on it.
Yeah, I think that's so right. So come on. There must be a lot of questions out there. It's
Oh no, this could get dangerous.
Chris, you normally pop with a good question. Melvin Hancox, Chris. You're Chris, aren't you? At least you were last week.
What strings do you use?
How many strings on your guitar?
It varies.
Actually, what years are we talking about here? I mean, I guess we're talking about the early 70s when you talk about canteens and everything.
Well, when I worked with them, I'm like, darling, I wasn't born till November 73. Now it would be more like 97, more the late 90s, actually.
Didn't know canteens were going.
Yeah.
I think it's still working.
They are still going as well, yeah. They go around, they're doing what we're doing here, but they're...
I didn't mean to be rude about your age, but of course a lot of the people you're talking about were fairly active in the early 70s.
Yeah.
Steve Gibbons, literally.
Absolutely, yeah. Who, again, still is,
Yeah, no, he was here.
Yeah. No, that was at the... I never finished that one. That was at the Breeding Bar. I asked Steve what... I was playing with Mac and the boys at the time and thinking, I don't know if I should really be here. And he said, well, you should form your own band. And that didn't happen till many years later, but that's what he told me to do. And by proxy, it did happen. But I wasn't really, for my age, I should be in the Thompson Twins or something, I should be a more Spandau Ballet, with my hair. But it didn't turn me on, and I heard my father's record collection, and that's what made me want to play, and that's what inspired me. And I was born too late for myself, really.
But at least you learned your blues from the people that learned their blues from people who learned the blues.
Yeah.
So it's like English.
I like it all. I like it all, actually, but and I find it gets a bit smooth and homogenised for me, sort of after that period, really, sort of 70, again, when I was born, 73 on, it gets a bit too smooth for me. And I don't really like it smooth. I like it a bit rough and a bit raw. I like feel music, essentially. I like to feel it. I don't want it presented in a slick manner. Corporate blues, that isn't for me. Or anything really corporate.
Is that because recording techniques have improved?
Well, not just that. Not just, for instance, it's very difficult. The reason I use this Fender amplifier is because it's working in a different manner to how many guitar amplifiers would work now, where it's almost compressed the sound on them. You want to do that, and for the response, and it holds it back. You get and if I want to play soft, I want to play soft, and if I want it hard, I want it hard. I want the response, So I just mean it in that way, It's just a personal thing.
Well, before we wrap up, are there any more questions from the floor?
Did you have a couple more?
Shall I get my coat?
Perhaps they can't wait. They want to delay the start. Come on, let's do one question. Don't look like that, Carl. I'll say, yes, Carl. What are you going to say? He opened his mouth and took a breath. Bad mistake. Okay? Well, we're on time. Thank you very much, Melvin. It was a pleasure to talk to you. I learned a lot. I'm sure everyone else did. So, let's thank Melvin.
I'll be taking notes. There's a quiz at the end and I'm taking notes.
It's now 7:45, which reminds me of a story that Bob Kerr's Whoopie band, told me. He's the one driver in the band. All the other guys had to fly because he had so many props. There were 105 hat changes in the act, apparently. It's sort of crazy Spike Hughes, silly slicker stuff. And he drove to Hull, I think it was, took a boat to somewhere in Denmark and crossed drove through Finland to get to St. Petersburg. Eventually, it took 2.5, 3 days to get there. He pulled him outside the club, and his big Russian bouncer was at the door and said, "On?" He said, "Yes. Welcome to St. Petersburg. You're on in 30 minutes." So you're on in 15.
Okay. Thank God I haven't had to travel so far. Thank you, Jim.
Good to see you. Thank you.
Jim is now available to touch and sign autographs.
Also, Tony, I'm a good photographer. I've done now, but so it's the vanish all got transparent. He's created a calendar based on the jazz photographs he's taken. Splendid. I really want to see one.